Hello everyone, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Ultimate General Civil War. I believe we're on to episode 57, although I may have kind of miscounted or mixed that up. With that being said, guys, we are in the Richmond campaign. We have won the Battle of Cold Harbor, we have won the Battle of Fort Stevens, and we are now on to the Battle of Harrison's Creek, which is sort of the initial period of the Battle of Petersburg. The Union forces have come up on the Confederate flank south of Richmond. General Butler is in command, and this was sort of representing the golden opportunity that the Union forces had ahead of Grant shifting the majority of his force south to deal with Petersburg. A Union force came up against a scantily clad, scantily defended Confederate positions at Petersburg, which is sort of the critical rail junction south of Richmond. If that junction fell, Richmond and the Confederate capital would have fallen. And so the Battle of Harrison's Creek is representing that initial engagement where the Union really blew a golden opportunity to end the campaign in Virginia in 1864 and perhaps bring about an early conclusion to the Civil War. However, it was not to be. Confederate forces under PG-2 Beauregard put up a stout defense and convinced the Union that they had more troops than they really did, and the Union failed to dislodge the Confederate forces. With that being said, guys, this, as always, was taken from a live stream that occurred a couple of weeks ago, and as this series is kind of dictated over the last 20-plus episodes, I'm just going to go ahead and duck out. I'm going to rely on myself, my audio from the live stream from a couple of weeks ago to carry us through this video, and I hope you leave your thoughts and your comments below as we fight through the initial stages of the Siege of Petersburg and us closing in on conquering what is left of Richmond. All right, guys, thanks again, and I'll meet you guys back up at the end in this campaign with the amount of money and resources that we have assigned to our logistics. Reconnaissance is kind of interesting, so I'm thinking we need to put 2 points into it anyway to get the next level. So if we put 2 there, and I don't think, the next level beyond that is 6, so I think maybe we put the next one at logistics, just because that actually gives us something. So 2 into reconnaissance and 1 into logistics, keep Army Org where it's at, and that's kind of our updated levels. Let's see here. Yeah, some more victories. We're closing in on victories against the Confederacy. We got a whole bunch of officers coming back from wounds who weren't available to us last battle. We've got a whole bunch of weapons captured that we can either equip our troops with or sell. I'm not going to use sharps, so we'll sell the few of those that we have. We'll keep the Spencer carbines and Spencers. Not going to use the pattern Enfield, so we'll instantly sell the we have over 1,000 pattern Enfield carbines. It's a musketoon, I guess. Trustworthy rifled musket with sufficient range for dismounted skirmishing. It was a favorite for the Confederate cavalry. It was really outclassed by later war Union weapons, but it was good for the Confederacy at the time. It gives us another $37,000 because we're just not going to use those. Additionally, I don't think I'm going to build a battery of 24-pound howitzers, so we'll sell those. Same goes for the James rifles. We'll sell those. I'll keep the Whitworths or Whitworths because I may want to use those. And there you go. We've got over $400,000 before we start replacing losses on troops that didn't lose much. Why don't we just get started doing that now? 2,000 will still be sort of the default, what we want. Maybe we'll make some of these brigades more than that. See, this brigade did lose pretty heavy casualties, Franklin's brigade. So I always kind of go with rookies until we can't, until we risk losing a star, so a 1-star brigade dropping to or 2-star brigade dropping to a 1. And at that point, I generally switch over to veteran replacements. So that's what we'll continue to do here for this little bit as we just kind of reinforce this second corps. And again, we may make these units a little bit larger, but let's just get them back to 2,000 men first. And we'll see where we're at that point. All right. These guys were at 2,500, so let's just put them back to where they were. 2 troops. 2 troops. These guys get an extra level despite the fact that they didn't lose a single man. Alright, so the second corps is fully rebuilt. We gotta add one more gun. And actually, we need... Finnegan's men need a few more men. Okay, so the second corps is fully rebuilt. The third corps didn't engage. First corps, I think we're just going to go with veterans to keep these guys really good, but that's going to be expensive. So we'll see here, 23, that's cheap. Only 1,200 to replace the Springfield's losses. I think they were actually originally at 2,500, so that's not really a fair assessment. Meanwhile, we've got over 11th... Oh, wait. Never mind. Wrong weapon. I thought it was a different weapon. This is going to cost us 60,000 just to replace the Irish Brigades. 70,000 replace the Irish Brigades casualties, but I'm going to do it! Insane, perhaps. Okay, these guys have Spencers. What's the max we can make this brigade? Without... Basically, I'm just seeing what I can do to use all of our Spencers up. Alright, so we can use up to 900 men. What if we do 400 rookies? Maybe not quite 400. We'll do 200 rookies. Gives us a little bit of a hit. Then we'll go ahead and rest as veterans. It's expensive. We really don't have a lot of troops to do that for anyway. And these guys have Spencers, so they're really good weapons. I want to make sure they've got really good firearms skills. Alright, so we've also got to replace the losses on the Black Hats Brigade. That's going to be substantially cheaper, because we've got these weapons in stock. 36,000, and then Dunshine's Brigade, which will go with rookies for these guys. Because frankly, they weren't anything all that special anyway. Alright, that just about does it for our casualties that we need to replace. We've got a handful of these, but they don't even have enough weapons. What do we have 2,000 of in stock? We got Texas Tylers. I was selling Texas Tylers off left and right before. Now I'm equipping troops with them. Alright, so we are fully built back. Maybe we'll add a few skirmishers with Spencers. That was all free, by the way, so up to 500. Need to go ahead and give the Iron Brigade a new commander. We'll give them General Crocker, I think. And there you go. So the first core's rebuilt, the second core's rebuilt. We should be back to full strength. We still have $200,000 and 22,000 recruits to draw from. Let's just click on Richmond real quick and see what the total size of our army is. You can see here the enemy has 67,000 soldiers. We have 101,000, just like last time. We're not going to actually do the attack, but we'll take a look at that here. Iron Brigade now has 2,000 men with Spencers, which is great. What's the first battle date-wise? You've got Harrison's Creek, which is June 15th, and you've got July, which is the Georgia Railroad. So Harrison's Creek will be the next fight. This is the Battle of Petersburg. I think the Confederates are going to be heavily dug in. If we lose a shit ton of reputation. So I don't want to risk losing. I think, in all honesty, I know I've got 20,000 recruits, but I think I'm actually going to kind of stand pat on my army right now and keep that money and keep those recruits and keep that reputation for later in the campaign. Depending on how many men we lose here, we may need that. You can see here we've got an assault and we've got a reinforcement force. So I'm going to go with the first corps, I think, for the assault force, 47,000 men. Second corps will be the reinforcement corps. It's another, we'll have a total of 92,000 men on the field. The enemy will have half that. I'm sure they'll be heavily dug in. But I think that's what we're going to do for the next battle. I'm going to go back and save, and then I'm going to take a real quick break to just kind of check in with the chat, and we'll continue fighting tonight. Bear with me one moment. Sam, why is it the worst battle in the game? Is it just because they're dug in? John, it was a fast battle. Cold Harbor lasted like 10 minutes. Right. Alright guys, why don't we go ahead and get fighting? By the way, I heard a rumor, and I don't know if it's true, that if you reinforce your troops before you start the campaign, that strengthens how many men the enemy get when you get to the grand battle of the campaign. But if you go into your first battle in the campaign with a smaller force, then when you make your army bigger throughout that campaign, the enemy army is not subsequently reinforced. It seems a little gamey, but I heard that rumor. I'm not sure if it's true. Sean, as far as the Battle of Cold Harbor, there's two initial phases in the first day of the battle, and I went aggressive on the Confederates, and I hit them before they had a chance to bring up their reserves and get really enough troops, so they were too strung out, and I was able to overwhelm them. Oh, wow. Oh, that sip really bit me there. Guys, also, I'm kind of excited. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. In the next month or two, I won't tell you guys exactly when, but in the next month or two, I'll be going to Gettysburg for the first time ever. I have never been to a Civil War battlefield. Well, that's not true. I've been to the battlefield at Perryville in Kentucky, but it was one of those things where my family and I was much younger. I was like 13. And I don't think I had really started getting into the Civil War yet. I hadn't read Shelby Foote, hadn't, really kind of dug my heels into a bunch of other books. And we were only there for like an hour, so we didn't really do the experience right. But I've never really been to a Civil War battlefield outside of Perryville very briefly. And so I'm actually flying out, and I'll be at Gettysburg in a couple of weeks, couple of months, sometime in that time frame. And I don't know if I'm going to do the guided tour, if I'm just going to kind of tour myself. I'm taking a full weekend to just kind of see the sights and scenes. And I'm sure I'll take a lot of pictures. I won't be streaming, obviously, that weekend. I may have some stuff that's already recorded, ahead of time. But so you'll still be getting content on the channel. But I'm curious if there's, if you guys want me to share any photos on the channel, if you just want to follow my Twitter, I'm sure I'll be tweeting all over, tweeting up a storm. But just let me know if you guys think there's anything you think would be worth capturing. Making some photos at the very least for thumbnails and stuff. But anyway, guys, I'm really excited, looking forward to that. For the guided tour, is that like the 10-hour all-day tour? Do they do the whole battlefield, or do they just do like 1 day worth, or what do they do? I was debating, there's also a guided tour that's 10 hours. You go from 8 a.m. until like 6 p.m., 7 p.m. at Gettysburg, the full tour. But then you actually end up getting on a shuttle bus. You go to D.C. and you do a night tour at D.C. That seems like it might be a little overwhelming, but it also seems like it'd be kind of cool. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really excited. All right, guys. That's enough of me just kind of chilling and shooting the breeze. Let's go ahead and fight the Battle of Harrison's Creek. I could do a vlog. I've never put my camera on or my face on the channel. I'll think about it. Andrew, the guided tour is interesting, but on the flip side, I almost think it would be kind of neat to just spend a day plus of just kind of wandering the battlefield at my own pace, go to the different landmarks, the different locations, and just kind of maybe even like, I don't know what the rules are in the park, like just kind of having lunch or whatever, like on Cemetery Ridge, and just kind of like looking out over it. I know one of my friends said like what you need to do is you just need to set some time aside near sunset, go on to Cemetery Ridge, and just kind of like walk slowly, Pickett's Charge. So we'll see. But Yeah, anyway, I think it'd be kind of cool. All right. Does the guided tour really not do Barlow's Mole? Knoll? Sean, that might be a long vlog. Oh, by the way, any books you guys have to recommend on Gettysburg before I go would be greatly appreciated. I haven't read a ton of books just about the battle itself. I've read, is it Fences? Gettysburg the first day. I'm going to pick up Gettysburg the second day. I think they're largely regarded as some of the best tactical books about Gettysburg. But I haven't like read much in the way of Gettysburg exclusively. I've read, obviously McPherson. I've read Shelby Foote. I've read a few other books that detail with the Civil War, and they spend a lot of time on Gettysburg, but I haven't read a ton of detailed history about Gettysburg itself. All right. Dark, what do you mean by ad things going on right now? Oh, nice. I didn't know you went to college there, Penguin. That's pretty cool. Dark, what's the ad thing going on right now? I don't stay terribly in the loop with YouTube stuff. I'll be starting up in about 30 seconds, guys. Sorry for the delay. I did have... I'm guessing since the whole Charlottesville, Nazis and KKK people marching and killing people, I'm guessing that YouTube maybe has clamped down a bit on Civil War content or tagged things, probably because people are spouting, nonsense in their videos, so they're maybe a little bit more aggressive. I've got about like 6 videos queued up, and I've got 3 of them are kind of deemed not advertiser friendly. So maybe like half of my upcoming videos. I don't think I've seen that impact previously posted videos. And I know a lot of you guys probably don't care about this, so just bear with me like 30 seconds. But like as I scroll through the rest of my videos on my channel, I really don't see anything on here like going back 6 months or so, and the only stuff I see is 3 upcoming videos that have been flagged. Captain, yes, there will definitely be more Cold Waters, and I also want to dig into more detail about U.S. ship classes. Honestly, I just needed a little bit of a break from putting together really kind of detailed content and just wanted to kind of play through a game and have a little bit of fun, and I started streaming Ultimate General Civil War again to do that, to kind of complete that Union campaign. I had a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of fun, and, I just wanted to kind of finish up, I guess, since I was so far through the series that I just wanted to kind of finish that up before I went back to Cold Waters. But I will be going back to Cold Waters. So my plan, might as well mention my plan going forward, given we're in the Richmond campaign, we're in the last campaign for the Union. My plans at that point are return to Cold Waters with some more thoughtful videos. And this is all as far as video on demand anyway, like a week down the line. But return to Cold Waters. I would like to look at Battlestar, the new Battlestar Galactica game, Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. I've got a copy of it. It comes out on August 31st, so I will probably stream that. I haven't had a chance to look at it and really understand any of the mechanics, but it's a new game out by Matrix and Slytherin, which is sort of a prequel game that takes place during the first Cylon Wars. I don't know if any of you are really into sci-fi. I never watched the original Battlestar series until I had seen the reimagined series when I was in school, in college. But I thought the first couple of seasons of that were really awesome. They kind of went off the rails as it went down the line. But I thought those were great series, so I'll be playing that as well. I will consider a CSA campaign. I don't know if I'll upload it to the channel the way I'm doing the current series, but at least maybe live streaming, because I really do enjoy Ultimate General Civil War. And the CSA campaign I did before, I ran when Antietam was the last battle. So I would like to do a full war as the CSA as well. Out of the Park Baseball, maybe. I have some plans actually for Out of the Park Baseball that involve a lot of editing and probably like 20 episodes that would probably require like 80 hours worth of work or more. They're probably beyond my skills. I've got this image in my head. There's a team I want to do the history of, the full history of a baseball team. So I want to use Out of the Park Baseball to go back in time, recreate that franchise's history, and do it in a sort of side-by-side, take pictures and images and things like that from the actual history, talk about the actual season, and then say, oh, and here's Out of the Park Baseball, and here's what happened when I kind of modeled that, to kind of do like a side-by-side real history of this team, fictional history of this team, see how they compare while showing Out of the Park Baseball out. It actually would involve me getting involved with a library to get some microfilm from some newspapers so I can get authentic footage that I can use. It's going to be like a quasi Ken Burns Out of the Park Baseball series. It's something I've wanted to do for over a year. I've got sort of a pilot episode, but I'd like to have it all in the can so it can come out relatively quickly. This would be like my first attempt to really get into serious, like actual quality. Not that what I do isn't quality, but it's very different than like actual editing and more scripted and just kind of looking at history in a quasi-documentary way. I really want to do that, but I just haven't had the time yet. It's a huge commitment. Okay, guys. Now that I've bored you with future plans that may, in some cases, never occur, I'm going to go ahead and play the Battle of Harrison's Creek. General Butler, commander of the Union Army of the James, became aware that the Confederate troops had been moving north to reinforce Lee in the Battle of Cold Harbor, leaving the defenses of Petersburg vulnerable. Petersburg is currently the most important supply center for Lee's army in the Confederate capital, so Butler took advantage of the situation and moved to besiege the town. As Butler's forces blockade the town, 2 of your corps are needed to storm the eastern defenses. If Petersburg is captured, then Richmond will be cut off, and we will be able to deliver the final strike to the rebel capital and end this bloody war. Yeah, that's actually a really good summation of what happened. The Army of the James, under General Butler, a political general, was moving up the peninsula to attack Petersburg, while Grant was a little bit north and east of the town. The Army had an opportunity to overrun a sparsely defended Confederate force at Petersburg and end the war in 1864. Unfortunately, the Union forces there, and it wasn't just Butler, there were a couple other commanders. Hancock was involved at some point as well, a little bit later on when his corps moved over from Grant's main position. But essentially, the Union balked General P.G.T. Beauregard, who always seems to show up on the periphery, at Charleston, at Petersburg, at Shiloh as second in command. He always seems to show up and do an impressively bold job, despite the fact that his strategic thoughts were kind of outlandish and out there. He bluffed the Union into thinking the Confederates are far stronger than they were, and really, forced them to only launch a couple of probing assaults. They were in kind of swampy terrain. It wasn't ideal, but at the end of the day, it allowed the Confederates to hold. So you can see here the Confederate force is 42,000 men. We're going to move our second corps in for the assault force. The reinforcements will be the first corps, and that'll give us some 92,000 men on June 15th, 1864, against 42,000 Confederate troops that are presumably dug in. Okay. Yeah, Peter, I think on most maps you can run the timeout and capture it and win if you need the extra time. Despite Butler's initial success to the east of Petersburg, and I may do that just because 55 reputation is a huge hit if I lose, but we'll see. Despite Butler's initial success to the east of Petersburg, while the city was almost undefended, he decided to start a siege and wait for your troops. Oh, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Oh, God, look at that. This delay afforded the rebels the opportunity to reorganize their defenses over Harrison's Creek. That is a fucking steep slope. And at Port Creek. Look at all these rivers and streams and high elevation and cover. This is going to be a nightmare. You've been ordered to take the lead, resume the assault, and break the Confederate defensive lines. Okay. General Kautz has dispatched with his cavalrymen to ride undetected behind several hills and valleys and reach the outer Confederate lines. Oh, cool. So maybe we can go up and over the flank? I'm not sure. Looks like we've kind of got a scattered group. We've got 4 brigades here that are going to be dealing with these troops in the center. And then we've got other troops on the opposite side of the river here that... Alright. I think I'm going to avoid a major effort here. I'm going to try and take the southern objective point first. I'm going to move these guys forward. With that being said, let's do this. I don't think my artillery is going to be very effective in this battle. I should have heavier batteries by now. That's kind of my own fault. I keep selling those things off. But frankly, I don't think the artillery is going to be useful at all given this terrain. So we're going to deploy one more brigade. And that's going to be kind of what we have to go to battle with. So we'll go ahead and start the battle. We're going to go ahead and pause. And let's do this. Let's move these guys, oops, here. Frank, you're going to deploy here. You guys are all in good wooded cover. We're also going to detach some skirmishers maybe a little bit in advance of our main body. And we're just going to kind of feel these guys out. Skirmishers actually have a better line of sight anyway. Meanwhile, we're going to bring these guys forward. Should have removed that other artillery back. They're all going to kind of cross and hopefully overwhelm the Confederates at this point. The main issue here is that these guys are going to be going up a very steep slope. So this is going to be very much like the mule shoe, where they're just going to lose heavy casualties just because. Meanwhile, on the north, we're going to go ahead and try and get these guys under cover, good cover. I want to engage the enemy, but I don't want to get slaughtered. So I guess we'll see. I don't know if we can flank north or not. We can try. Go up around their lines. Guessing it will lose a lot of time. Let's move Peabody north as well. Seems like there might be an opportunity up north. Gibbon can't really get down here, I don't think, so he'll have to go with his troops to the north. Also go ahead and detach some skirmishers up here to hopefully eat some of the fire. The skirmishers, if they can get a little bit ahead of the main troops, they can kind of divert Confederate attention away. They can also move quicker. There's another perk, skirmishers. All right, so let's do this. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's a little gamey to kind of use extra time. On the flip side, having a timer in most battles is a little bit gamey. I think it's less gamey in the Petersburg campaign, though, because so much of the battle, the initial fight at Petersburg, was just the fact that the Confederates needed time. So Lee could shift more of his army south to deal with the Union, the fact that the Union had shifted south. So while it is a little bit gamey to say you're playing past your timer, the timer does represent the fact that the Army of Northern Virginia would have arrived, you know, and made your assault much more futile. All right. Guys, alt here. I think if we can cause Ector's skirmishers to be the main point of being targeted for the Confederates, that'd be great. Okay, the north, the troops are still moving around. Ector's skirmishers are running because they're smart. Frank's skirmishers are going to close in a little bit closer. Hines is going to move up, and we're going to try and overwhelm Boyd. I don't think that's enough men to overwhelm them. More of our troops are arriving on the field. Some in the north as well. We'll see. It says we have 4 hours, so this is a long, long battle. Alright, well, I kind of was joking around, guys, when I said Lee was overrated as a commander. I don't truly think he was overrated. I do think he benefited from the fact that many of his commanders, many of his opponents were, if not incompetent, certainly not ready to lead armies of the size that they had to lead. That's not Lee's fault, though, and that's the challenge. Is it's hard to say he's overrated when, even when he fought Grant very tenaciously and very well. So it's not like he was outclassed by Grant. He was every bit his match, but he wasn't, able to rout Grant in a seemingly easy fashion in the way that, he routed many of the other commanders he faced. I'm going to lose like half my corps. I don't know if really charging these earthworks is the best way to attack them. Waiting for that cavalry to show up. You promised me cavalry. Where are they? Oh god. I didn't realize that these guys are in range. They can't really get up and around them. Our cavalry managed to break through. Just as I say, where are our cavalry? Here they come. Alright, get behind. I should have waited. I should have just waited for him to show up. If I had waited, I would have saved myself a whole bunch of casualties. I mean, it's hard. I know you guys are saying, like, oh, I used to idolize Grant. Like, I get that you may not think he's a great tactical commander, but he did a goddamn good job with what he had to work with. Oh, great. There's a whole bunch of enemy cavalry in the rear, too. Come on. They've got just, like, perfectly positioned cavalry directly behind their infantry lines. I'm calling bullshit on that one, folks. I'm going to lose half my corps just trying to break through here. This is going to be a bloodbath. I'm going to lose my whole goddamn army. Alright guys, I know I spent a greater portion of this video sort of readying ourselves for the attack on Harrison's Creek. I've now actually begun the assault, and we've kind of started to try and turn the Confederate flank. We have some cavalry and some troops coming in behind the Confederate lines, so we'll see if that allows us to drive the rebels from their positions. With that being said, we are about 35 minutes in, so I'm going to go ahead and duck out here. I hope you guys have enjoyed the battle thus far. In our next video, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and fight the remainder of the Battle of Harrison's Creek and see how things turn out for our forces. With that being said, guys, I hope you, as always, enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts below, and until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.